everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing a bookshelf audit. So this is a video that I have seen many times over on my friend Olivia Savannah's channel, Olivia's Catastrophe, and last year, right around this same time, I did my first one. Basically, this is where we're going to take a look at my library and examine the books that I've read, the books that I haven't read, how it grew or didn't grow from last year, how my percentages have changed. I am so excited to do one of these right now because last year when I started, that was our baseline. Now we actually have data to sort of examine and compare to what happened last year. It has been a year, like I said. I think last week sometime was my 1 year anniversary of this video. So I recounted all of the books that I have here, and we are going to examine my library. And yes, I can say library because part of the reason Olivia Savannah started the video series like this is because she wanted to have a library. And I think a library, in order to have that, you have to have like a minimum of 1,000 books. I definitely have over that. Last year, in 2024, my entire total amount of books in my library was 1,438. As of this year in 2025, I'm at 1,583. That is growth of 145 books. Yeah. I have 145 new books. Now, I think as of this time this year, my haul is at like 120, 130 of physical books. Some of those are things that I have read, some are things that I haven't. But keep in mind that I did this video last year, like last August. So in general, I have grown 145 new books. I do unhaul books off my shelves as well, so not everything that you see behind me is going to be the exact same thing that I had on this shelf last year, obviously, but I just think it's interesting. I don't think it's too much growth. I do have a buying problem this year because I went to a couple different like book events where I ended up buying way too many books. And I think it's partly because we moved from Arizona to Washington in the middle of last summer. So we've been here a year now, and all of the book events and things that I went to are things that I've never done before. So that makes sense to me. I do remember, because I was refreshing my numbers from last year's video, I mentioned last year that I was not at 1,500 yet, and I knew I was going to get there eventually. I did not think it was only going to take me 1 year. I did specify in the video that like I thought it was going to take me longer. Obviously it didn't, because I am at 1,583. Keep in mind, all the books that I have behind me, I have been collecting since like, some of these were like elementary school, junior high, high school, etc. I have been a reader my entire life. So obviously having over 1,500 books now has been a lifelong process. A lot of people are not going to have a library this big. I absolutely love having one this big, but yes. Okay, so we grew by 145 books. Now we are going to break that down between like things that I have read, things that I have unread. Let me know right now, do you know how many books I have on my TBR? I did a physical TBR video earlier this year, but I don't know how much that number has changed because I did not look back at that. But let me know what you think I have unread, because the first thing that we're actually going to talk about is duplicate books. So I do have some books on this shelf, on these shelves, that are duplicates. Things that I absolutely love the series, and I just want to have more of them. Right behind me, I have like 5 copies of Anne of Green Gables. One of my favorite like classic children's books. I have multiple different issues and copies of like the Mortal Instruments series and Shadowhunters. I have duplicates of the entire Well Met series. I have a lot of duplicates. Last year, I said I had 76 duplicates. This year, with me counting up every single duplicate that I could find, I have 96. This is where it gets a little bit like, I don't know how I got 20 more duplicates this year. I didn't think I was buying a bunch of duplicates, so I don't know if I somehow miscounted a little bit last year or what's going on. But I have 20 more duplicates this year. Last year, I did some percentages as well. My duplicates took up 5.3% of my entire library. This year, because we added 20 more and I have more in my entire library, it's 6.1%. So it did go up a little bit. My amount of duplicates is a slightly higher percentage of my entire library, but not like a ton, obviously. 6% of my entire own books are doubles or triples or quadruples. I have a lot of duplicates. So we are now going to take those duplicates away for everything else that we're talking about. So if we take those 96 duplicates out of my total of like 1,580 something books, I now have 1,487 unique books. Taking all the duplicates out, 1,487. That is still very, very close to 1,500. So like, again, mind blown a little bit, but for everything else that we're talking about, for my read books and my unread books, that's what we're talking about here. So the main thing that we need to know is percentages, basically. So last year when we talked about my read versus unread, I was at 879 read books, which was around 64.5%, and I was at 483 unread books, which is 35.5%. So not quite 2/3 and 1/3, but like I was fine with those numbers. You know what I mean? This year, my amount of books read is 892. Somehow we only added 13 books to my read totals. Now, I do think part of it is, like I said before, I do unhaul quite a bit. I did an unhaul, I want to say pretty soon after I filmed and did this video last year, and then things that I didn't like as much near the end of last year, I did an unhaul earlier this year as well. And so those things, like if I read books and it's 3, sometimes 3.5 stars or lower, I'm just not going to keep them on my shelves. So I know that I read like over 200 books last year, and I'm at 100 and something this year, but I have gotten rid of things that I just don't want to keep on my shelves anymore. So like ultimately, the things that are on my shelves that I have read are supposed to be 4 and 5 stars, sometimes a little bit of like 3.5s, or I do have a couple 3s that are like very nostalgic, that kind of stuff. So ultimately, the library that I want to curate of things that I own and have read are some of like my favorite books. So these things behind me, I love. You can always look at the books behind me and know that I recommend them, basically. So I would have liked this number to be higher. I would have liked to have added more than just 13 new read books to what is on my shelves read, but I know I read more than just 13 more books. I just have unhauled some things as well. So like I'm trying to just be like, it's okay. I unhauled things I did not like, and if I would have had them on my shelves still, my read number would be much higher. It's okay. So we're not gonna do percentage of that yet because I do now wanna go into my unread books. So this year, my unread books is 595. Were you guys close? Almost 600. I am so happy it's under 600. I need to like not buy any more books until I can read this down a little bit. Almost 600 books off these shelves are unread. That is a lot. It is a lot. And when I say off these shelves, my TBR shelves are over here. You guys do get to see them sometimes, but they're over there. You can't see them right now. Everything behind me pretty much is read. It's over there. It's almost 600. It's not 600. That's great. I added 112 books to my TBR since this time last year. So again, I don't fully know. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure my physical books that I've added to the library in general this year, that I've hauled in, because I do have a spreadsheet for that I've been keeping track of, is like 120, 130. So like I have been reading some of the things that I've hauled in as well, because some of those go on to my read stack instead of like my TBR, but Ultimately, I was hoping this number would go down or stay the same, or at the bare minimum, not be adding over 100 books to this number. Because like I said before, last year was 483 and now we're at 595. Yes. Yes. We do have a consumerism problem. I have said multiple times, my book collecting and book reading hobbies are two completely different hobbies that sometimes overlap. All the books that I buy, I do want to read at some point in time. I just need to like stop finding everything super intriguing and bringing them home. So let's go into percentages now. So because I have 892 read books, that is officially 60% of my unique books. Again, this is counting no duplicates in them, which means my 595 unread books, my TBR books, is now 40% of my collection. So we went down from around 2/3 versus 1/3 to now like 3/5 versus 2/5. I would like to hopefully maybe by next year go closer to that 2/3 versus 1/3 thing, because I liked the idea of having almost double read versus unread. But like I said, I've been unhauling things, and I do feel like this year, at least in 2025, I have been having more sort of mediocre books where like I read things and then I'm like, I didn't really like that. Do I really need it on my shelves? Let's get rid of it. So like that, I read things. It technically comes off my TBR, but it doesn't get added to my read books. And so I really would love to have less TBR, more read, get that percentage up. We'll give it another year. We'll see what happens next year. But yeah, we're not quite at there right now. So again, 60% read versus 40% unread is good. I would like to stay as far away from like 50-50 as possible. I do want more read versus unread, but that's where we're at. So again, I feel like it could be worse. I do feel like I had added quite a few TBR books that I probably like, I really, really wish that number wasn't quite as high, and it's all my fault. I know it's all my fault. It's my money. I did it to myself. But I think that's gonna be like maybe one of my goals for this next year, is to see next August when we come back to this, was I able to get my read percentage back up a little bit? And then the last thing that I looked at last year was my average books per bookshelf. So I have 9 bookcases behind me with 6 shelves each, plus a couple shelves that are like on the very, very top that have extra books. I have like a cart of mass markets over there as well. And then I have currently my like 25 books to read in 2025 off to the side, plus some TBR books that I've had in stacks because I bought them this year that I need to try and fit on the shelves. So last year when I did this average, because I had never done it before, I was just curious, I was averaging about 25 books per shelf. Now, I added 145 books to this library, but I'm still averaging around 26 books per shelf. So it did go up. I don't know exactly why it doesn't seem like it's changed much. Maybe because technically I added another couple shelves to that count because I have books that are not on these shelves. So I added shelf space and books. But otherwise that has stayed pretty consistent. I want to say if you look at my shelves and see like the actual books, novels, around 20 something is pretty correct. But then I have some shelves like these smaller ones behind me where like this has 6 books on that shelf. And that's all of it. And then I have some comic and graphic novel shelves that have like 70 books on it, or some of my manga even. I have manga off over here. Some of those shelves, because they're stacked a certain way, have like 50 books on there. So that average is taking some very, very small shelves and some very large shelves and making it pretty much equal to like if this was a shelf of just novels, which is intriguing to me. I was thinking because of how many books I actually added to this library, that number was going to go up, but it only went up by about 1 book. It was like 26.04 or something. 26 books per shelf. Not too bad. So I think that was everything that we went over last year. Like I said, I like this idea, especially because like I do here's my TBR every year. I like to do a bookshelf tour, but we don't really get into like the nitty gritty of like the specifics of like the percentages and what did I actually like grow this library as. Like I said, I added 145 books, so I liked that we were able to actually view how everything grew over 1 year of being on BookTube and owning a library. I will be very curious to see what this looks like next year. I'm again crossing my fingers that I don't buy as many things because I'm not planning on going to as many unique book events. Because again, the hype. I hyped myself up for them. They were great. I loved going, but I think it was partly because we were in a completely new city, completely new state. I hadn't really been going out and doing a bunch of stuff yet, and I went ham. I did. So I think that's gonna be it for me today. I'm very proud that I have an entire library, and I'm officially, like I said, over 1,500 books, which was something that I've been going back and forth with the last few years. You guys probably haven't really seen it, but like I have everything tracked and I knew I was getting there. I just didn't know exactly when I was gonna get there. So like I bought a lot of things, but I'm actually sort of happy that we got to 1,500. Let's see how long it takes to get to 2,000. I am really hoping not by next year. So that's gonna be it for me today. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!